Some
movie
mid
was
opinion.
so fucking
Some
mid.
mid opinion.
So fucking mid. So fucking bad.
What?
Can we get
What?
started? I have thoughts.
What?
I have
Okay,
so many
first of
thoughts.
all,
First of
This
all,
is-
So many
that's
thoughts.
such a
you
insult.
are a child. Second of all, no popcorn with chopsticks this time around.
Exactly. Yeah.
I already ate it while I was
Good.
watching the
Oh,
movie.
I hate you. Oh, I hate you even more.
I ate it with the Cheeto dust on it.
I must hate it when I ate it.
This is insanity.
Yeah. No, the fact that
Okay,
this
all
man
right,
is
let me-
already coming bullets out,
Ah,
guns a blazing with the most mid opinion of all time.
all right, let me get
It's so
started.
ass.
Let me get started. So Brian and I can finally team up.
Dude, yeah, I mean,
Let-
me and Julius are about bullied
It's
Sebastian.
literally about to be the Undertaker meeting with Macho Man versus the guy in the thong. All right. Hello everybody. This is Julius once again with another podcast, bringing Brian and Sebastian together to talk about a film that at least Sebastian hasn't seen before. Brian has seen it. I've seen it. But before we even get into the film, which is Superman the movie, 1977 with Christopher Reeve, the GOAT, I just want to address something real quick. Brian and I literally just came back from Hollywood, the TLC Chinese Theater,
Yes,
and we just finished up seeing James Gunn's Superman.
Superman.
Uh, clearly, this shit right here.
Clearly,
Superman
the
more
Steve
like
Jobs shit.
Midman.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Wow.
that's the red
First of all-
sign. That's
first of
why
all,
you're having those opinions.
The audacity for him to put that on and
He
still
looks
have
like
such
Krypton
a
up in there.
mid-opinion.
Sebastian's literally like, it's about to explode. Let me bring out my mid-ass opinions.
So I think Sebastian is. See, Julius, I'm Mr. Terrific. You're Superman, and Sebastian's
Honest.
Lex. You know,
Sebastian is kryptonite right now.
he is. He really is.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Look,
dude,
you
put
see
on
the
green.
Look at that,
You,
dude.
you
That's
see
some
the
Lex.
colors? You
See,
see the
Sebastian's
colors?
jealous of Lex because he wants to be him.
Why so serious?
Sebastian's literally about to take off his hairpiece and be like, "It is me, Lex Luthor,
It's just me.
greatest criminal mind
My name
of
is
our
Jesse
time."
Heisenberg.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into the movie we're talking about, Sebastian
Yes.
or just literally finished watching Superman the movie. We just
Literally.
I
finished
regret every
watching
moment of it.
Superman. We just finished watching James Gunn's Superman.
Yeah, classic. Already a classic. Already a
Fire
good movie.
film.
Very good. Yeah.
Sick as hell.
Very little
Amazing.
complaints for it. You know, it's
Not
very
perfect,
good film.
but I mean,
Close to perfect.
100.
Very
It might
close
as
to
well
perfect.
be.
Yeah.
I consider it a pretty fucking
I
fire
consider
film
it very
already.
much a 9.6 or even a 9.4 if you want
That's
to
what
like
I
have.
got.
Yeah, that's what he got. Yo,
Look at
Jules,
this. This
show
is-
them. Show them the light. Press the light.
I'm gonna bring some hope to Sebastian right now. Check it out.
Exactly. Yeah, bring that hope because he doesn't have any right now with this movie.
Look at this
Bam.
shit.
There you go. Look at that. That's cinema.
The
Absolute
homie.
cinema.
Yo, this is my rating for Superman 2025.
Say it. Say it. Speak your truth. Get out of here.
Fire.
No.
Considering that you also thought this Superman the movie was good by any measure,
Wow.
it
Wow.
is indicative
Wow.
that your opinion is just
Wow.
not trustable. So I would not
Wow.
trust
Folks,
this
folks,
from
real quick,
Julius.
I just want to put this in opinion. This is a man that likes Pearl Jam, so his opinion is
Yeah.
already invalid.
Yeah.
I would like to compliment
Yeah.
Sebastian actually for being bold enough to go on the internet and talk the shit that he's about to
Oh yeah, he's
about this
to.
movie,
About
which
this
is a
movie.
certified classic.
You want to know?
Certified
You want to know?
Christopher Reeve, the
Yeah.
GOAT.
Out of everything that's wrong with the movie, you want to know what really killed it?
I swear, if he says what I think he's gonna say, I think we just kick him out.
What do you think I'm gonna say?
Oh, I think. Oh no, you tell me. You tell me.
Okay. There are no stakes to the entire movie, and every point, like the entire.
Hold on a second.
I'm sorry.
at the
Let me
end-
Huh?
let me wait. No, hold on. Let
Oh,
me
hold on.
introduce the film before you
Okay,
start
okay.
fucking bitching and moaning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because first
Okay,
off,
I mean,
there is a
that's why
stake.
you had me.
There
you
is
knew
a
this was
stake.
gonna
No,
happen. You knew I was gonna have this opinion, which is
Sebastian,
why
there is a
I
stake.
want to
There is
hear
a
your
steak
opinion.
and it's medium
But let
rare.
me
It's
intro the
perfectly
film.
medium rare. There is a
Okay,
steak.
hold on. Superman the
I don't.
movie. We talked Superman the movie
Yeah.
starring Christopher Reeve.
Yes.
1977, directed by Richard Donner,
Exactly.
written in part by Mario Puzo, the original author of The
The
Godfather.
Godfather.
Uh,
Exactly.
Crazy. This
Insane.
film
Insane collab.
this film came out during a time where superhero movies weren't as prevalent as they are currently. I mean, it's a new culture in
Like
terms of
new. Yeah.
entertainment,
Yeah.
film, and everything. And this movie was definitely at the time a serious gamble.
Hmm.
I believe it was 77 or at least 78. It was around that time. It was around the
Yeah.
time of something of the original Star Wars. And not now I'm not going to talk about Star Wars now. But a
Yeah.
link between those films, John Williams doing the original score for
Yeah.
this film for both Star Wars and Superman the movie. It is a movie that essentially reintroduces the public to Superman in a new light because people knew him from Action Comics back in the late 30s. People knew him from the serials that came out during, World War II and the films, or not the films, I'm sorry, the series with George Reeves back in the 50s. Um, so this movie was set to introduce kind of a new wave of blockbusters along with films like Star Wars, Jaws, several others that came out during the late 70s. And for me, this is a very important film, not just because I love it, not just because it is a very important film. I just think to movies in general, not even just superhero films. I think it's a very important film in modern film history. Um, but the fact that this movie, I think, got the characterization of this character defined what Superman is for several people in the same way that it did in the comics when he was first introduced is remarkable. This movie is like, I know we're going to get into it later on. I do want to hear what you have to say, Sebastian, especially since you just got out of it. But this is the template for the modern superhero film. This is the DNA of the modern superhero film.
This is
In
cinema.
many ways, the modern blockbuster has a lot, it, it relies on this film. Kevin Feige, the producer of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, has stated that they go back to Superman the movie every time they work on a project because it set the template for what heroism in this genre is cinematically. And obviously, it's not a perfect film. For me, it's like this one we just got out of, Brian, is very near perfect. And a big part of why it is that way is because of the performance, the transcendent performance of Christopher Reeve
Yeah. And more
as both
importantly, the
Clark Kent and
character work of
Superman.
seeing his journey, because this is by far one of the best interpretations of looking into Superman as a whole. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about
I'd
like the
argue
modern
that
movie
this
that we
is
just
the
saw, but
interpretation. I would
yeah, it
argue
is
that this
the.
is this
But
is
there is
the
an important,
version.
one thing that coincides with this film, along with Superman's James Gunn, right, is that and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, because I know it's going to come out officially tomorrow and stuff like that. But James Gunn's Superman, right? And I guess this is like a spoiler in a way, but I'm gonna try to say it in the most vaguest of ways. It makes you already know who Superman is due to the fact that if you've seen Superman 1978, you already know who you're going into already. You already know, I mean, it almost like worked perfectly aligned with each other due to the fact that James Gunn is taking over that interpretation of who we know as Superman and then retwisting it, but also going back to it and the original Superman, which is what we all love and want because it's like perfect. It's amazing. We see his humanity, but we see his stoicism and we see his emotionality with it, but it also doesn't overtake him like other Superman interpretations. We see a lot of his almost like what he's supposed to be going with. I mean, we're going to talk about it later and stuff like that with his Kryptonian side, but we also see his humanity side, which is, I think we're going to talk about that majorly due to the fact that I know that you said like there's no stakes. That is a big stake, is like he wants to bring like this almost honor to his family, to his father, to his identity, but he also has to understand that he himself is acknowledging the fact for him doing such a big, massive thing, like I said, we're going to talk about later such a big, massive change, something that his father even says to him that he is unable to do and cannot do. his earthly father, the father he grew up with, who took care of him, says it's his power and his responsibility to do what is right. You know?
Well, since obviously I don't want to just have Sebastian Sitar
Mhm.
sit and listen to our opinions and everything, I want to hear what he has to say
The
about the film.
discussion.
He knows. I think everyone knows what we feel about the film just based on our energy and
Exactly. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But I want before
It's a
even
versus.
really getting into it. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna gang bang Sebastian in a second, but I want to know Sebastian beforehand, just your familiarity with the character of Superman and just in previous interpretations and everything going into this movie.
Well, as you know, I'm not a very big fan of like superheroes.
Hmm.
So I know Superman is like what everybody knows Superman to be, right? It's the guy with the blue suit and the red underwear who goes around. He's like an alien and he has superpowers and he's allergic to kryptonite and he goes around fighting supervillains. Um, I do remember watching the 2013 film, but it
Man of
wasn't
Steel.
mem yeah, it wasn't memorable enough for me to like really remember it. Um, all I know is the scene where he like cries. Um, and I think that I mean I know well, I guess it doesn't count, but there's also the Injustice Superman. Um,
Hmm.
I did play that series, so if it counts for anything. But beyond that, it's just it's Superman to me is Superman. Um, that's just Superman. It's just you got your alien from another planet,
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
he goes
one thing
around beating
I
bad
can
guys.
agree. One thing that I can agree with Sebastian is that Man of Steel is forgettable.
It's like, what do you want me to say? You know, it's the thing about the Superman character that is like most intrinsic, I think, to just what the character is the idea of this figure who's here help. You know, I mean, in the film, the Christopher Reeve film, he describes himself as he introduces himself to Lois Lane as a friend, you know, and he is like a paragon of hope, ideally. And with films like what you mentioned, Man of Steel and everything, hope is a theme in that film, but the take is much more it's much more dreary and more like just focused on emphasizing Superman's godhood, you know, and in things like Injustice, it's about the power mainly and everything. It emphasizes like the what if Superman became everything that we fear him to become, you know what I mean?
Right.
And what makes for me these films refreshing, both, you know, Superman the movie and the one Brian and I saw today, is
2025.
that in 2025. Um, what makes these films refreshing, um, is that it's just about him trying to do the right thing, you know? And they make a really interesting point in this film, in the one that we
The
watched today,
okay.
James Gunn's Superman. I'll just refer to it as that. Um, they make a really interesting point about how hope and being just decent to people, kind to people, is like punk rock now. You know what I mean? It's like anti-establishment because we live in such a cynical time right now. It like just look at the world currently. It is not a great time. And the 70s, and I think this is reflected in Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve, um, obviously also not a great time, but much more idealistic. You see it reflected in a lot of the film in Superman the movie. Even in that movie, he's dealing with the battle between optimism and cynicism, you know, reflected in his relationship with Lois Lane. You know, we there's a great moment where he says, I'm here to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. And she says, you're gonna fight every elected official in the country. You know, like I
And then
think that
and then it just gets brushed over and it never gets brought up again.
in what
I
like
think Sebastian wanted Superman to kill a politician at that
No,
no
moment.
no no you know what
it's
that's what
just
it comes down to.
no,
Down
it's
with
just the
the
fact that
bourgeois.
like he mentions, for example, he's here to for justice and what's right, but there are a lot of it's kind of like if please don't drift this conversation to Star Wars, but it's like
Oh my
the
God.
Jedi in the sense that um you know, they're
It's
supposed to
back
be
on
the
the menu, boy.
they're supposed to be the peacekeepers, but they also ignore a lot of the systemic problems that are like within the confines of their own city. So it really makes it somewhat um, what's the word? Contradicting, um, hypocritical almost. And I understand that it's like a film that he's supposed to be, you know, it's not supposed to be something you think about because Superman is not a film you're supposed to think about, at least not in that way. Um, so yeah, but that is something that I noticed, like, because when he said I fight for justice and all those things, and she calls it out, as I was thinking, she called it out, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna address it, and then it just gets it never gets seen again.
I think what they're and again it's tough to talk about the film, and it's also not because it is a product of its time. That being said, I do think it holds up in a lot of regards pretty well, all things considered, because of
I mean,
kind of
did
how
you see those
simple it is.
CGI? They look old as shit.
Well, I mean,
I'm just being a shit. I know it's an old movie. I'm
well, it's
just
an older
being.
film, but
I was just.
a lot of it still
Well,
holds
I
up
mean,
pretty
the
well. I mean,
beginning, I
the
will
flying
admit,
effects
the
are pretty
beginning is
impressive in the film.
amazing. The beginning of the
Absolutely.
film is amazing. There is some parts where,
The miniature work in the film I think is really impressive.
oh no,
The work
that's
with
amazing. Yeah, the
Krypton,
miniatures
I
is
mean,
great. Yeah,
you know, the music
I,
holds
will-
up. The
I'll
performances
grant
hold.
it for its time. I'll grant it
yeah,
that for its time, sure. But
yeah.
you can't say it holds up. Now you compare something like that to something like Lord of the Rings, where the CGI has literally kept up, or like has literally held up to like the standard of films
Yeah.
that we have today, like
Well, an
But
almost
easier and a
they
over
only
fair
had
20
so much
years
to
comparison.
work with.
later.
Well, I was gonna say a more fair comparison, and I hate to bring it back up, but Star Wars, that's more because that is around that same era and that same time. I do agree with Sebastian that it does feel more of a product of its era. The beginning and the miniature scenes are my favorite due to the fact that it does feel like it feels weird. It feels weird, but it's like a comfortable weird. You know, like it's kind of like with Star Wars, a lot of those scenes are just stills or images or paintings, but you can never tell because it just seems so like out of this world that it's like, oh, you can vividly feel comfortable with it. The only
But you're
scenes I
also in
also kind of feel a little uncomfortable, maybe Sebastian agrees, is kind of maybe the flying scenes with Superman. But it's also like it's kind of hard. Like, how would you do that during that era, without relying on a green
Sure,
screen
Oh, what they
and the,
did
you know,
before that, they would have, like with George Reeves, they would have, for the television show, they would have him on a glass table and then reflect this sky background on it, so it looked like he was literally levitating and everything. In other interpretations, they would have it to where uh the actor, live action actor, would be there, he would jump, and then they would have a cartoon, he would turn into a literal cartoon character and fly off. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're bound by the realities of the era that you make films in.
sure,
And I think like, dude, if I had the budget of this film, I would, to make a movie about a guy who flies, I would probably try to do it the way that they did it back in the 70s rather than rely on CGI now. Because even though I love, like, this movie with Corn Sweat, James Gunn's Superman, like, I don't, I'm not as immersed in the flying as I am with this,
yeah.
with Christopher Reeve, because he's
Well,
literally
I want to say,
flying. He's
can we wait
literally
real quick?
being
Can I do a real quick thing on that too?
do
I
it. I'm
will
gonna
say.
turn off one of my lights. Hold on.
I want to say, yeah. That was one thing. I guess that was one of the complaints that the reason why I feel like the newer movie, and I don't want to talk about a whole lot about the newer movie, but that's one of my complaints about like how, like even the trailers, I'm like, geez, the CGI kind of looks a little like it's so new, but it looks so like the flying really makes it hard. Even some of the fight scenes where it just feels like, yeah, like it's cool, like it's fun, but like I really love those one-on-one fight scenes, or even like something simplistic with like Mr. Terrific scenes are amazing. Like that's beautifully choreographed and like even if it is CGI or practical, like you can hardly tell. But the scenes where they're like fighting in the city or towards the end of the movie, it kind of does feel very
Well,
like,
here,
ugh,
let's not it turn into a review for the new
Exactly, yeah,
film. We're talking
yeah,
about the original, but um my point is that I think what this movie does, it's, the effects very impressive for the time, of course. Now it is dated in terms of how it looks because it's just they can't help it. They can't go
Yeah.
back in time and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, we have fucking
Yeah, I
computers
mean,
now."
I was just
I,
making a joke when I made that comment. I wasn't really
No.
you
criticizing
silly
the
bastard.
effects.
But my
That's
my
it. But you
my
gotta admit
point
that
is
beginning was
my
beautiful.
well
Come
my
on.
my point is that
Oh,
you're let me make my point. My point
no.
is you're in the same way that Brian brought up about Star Wars and the immersion there. You the tagline for this film, the original film, 1978, is "You'll believe a man can fly." And I don't think that's in reference to the effects. I mean, it is, but I think what it's really in reference to is the characterization. You believe in the characters, you believe that they inhabit that world. Clark Kent, Superman, I love that they take a while with the origin, at the very beginning. They have a good amount of time in the beginning with Krypton, his
Exactly.
come up on Smallville, and then he becomes Superman. I
See,
not
I
halfway through,
disagree.
but later on. Really, why do you disagree?
You disagree on the
There
origin
is,
of showing a
there is,
hero?
there is no. They don't really take the time to. It really felt rushed, in the sense that I know the very beginning scene was supposed to set up for like the next movie, um, where they bring in the people from the astral prison or whatever, that crystal prison, um, but then they go on to show the conflict that Joel is having with the rest of the council of Krypton, um, about the planet being about to explode, and they give no rhyme or reason as to why, for example, the council is calling him a crazy old man. They give him no rhyme or reason to call him, like, I guess they want to maintain the order or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really
Well,
not
they're set in their
explicit.
They
ways,
don't
you
they
know?
don't they don't want to cause a panic.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, they don't want to cause a panic, but they don't. I don't know. It
And I
didn't.
think they just don't believe it. I mean, that like,
I mean, look,
I
if
know
you're a
it's
civilization that has like rings like that and can like entrap people in a different dimension, and you're out here like denying basic scientific facts such as the sun is
like
gonna
like
expand
like
and
like
engulf the
climate
planet,
change.
like climate change.
Right.
That
So how
just,
is that far-fetched?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It just
Aren't
feels
you an
like,
environmentalist,
no.
Sebastian? What
Well,
do you
I think
mean?
that, I think that just gives credence to my point. I think people who deny climate change are batshit crazy.
Right.
Like, and it
So
just,
then how is
I
it not
think I think
realistic
you're
with
I think
then
you're answering your own question.
Jor-El being the
no,
yeah.
no. I just mean it didn't, to me, it didn't really feel fleshed out. I didn't get some like an explanation that was
I see.
satisfactory enough for myself.
Mm.
And then they show the planet, and they show the planet, and it's just one city, and I get it, that they have like very little, like it's for the time, whatever. But then the sun is expanding, and the planet is getting close to the sun, and but it's like an earthquake happening, and then glass is shattering, and then the planet explodes. It just didn't feel very, but whatever, they're not
Yeah,
Well,
Sebastian's like, yeah, I want it to be more realistic.
they're
Can
not
we pull up a sun
scientists, so
blowing
I
up a
give them a
planet?
pass. They're not scientists, so I give them a pass. And then we come to Earth, uh and I
Well, no one
actually,
knows until an actual one blows up one. You know, I love you.
and then we come to Earth, and then we have this, I actually think that it was like pretty, what, brave is the word, cavalier, to show like a naked kid, like a naked toddler. I was like, whoa, that would not
that's a
fly today.
tradition in
That would
Superman films.
not fly
Yeah.
today.
Because well, they did it in Man of Steel.
Like full, like with his
They had
dong
a
out.
naked baby in
Yeah.
Man of Steel.
Well,
Yeah.
no, the one thing's a baby. Another thing is like a 3, 4 year old with his penis out.
Well, that's true. But
Yeah. And
That was
this
crazy.
is
To
also
me,
the
that was
70s,
crazy.
dude. They were doing
yeah,
crazy stuff.
That is true. Well, whatever. The case is,
lots of cocaine.
yeah, and then that actually, the whole point up to like where his dad dies, that was, I think that went pretty well. Um, and then somehow he gets intuition, and he looks underneath the barn, and he gets this shard of crystal that has like the memories that his father left. And suddenly he's like, Mom, my dad just died, but I'm gonna ditch you and I'm gonna go. And then he somehow finds his way to Antarctica. And then without any explanation, like he doesn't, and then he knows to throw the crystal, and then the
I
whole
think
cursing happens.
the the
And
way
and
the
you know what? And I can say, okay, maybe, he got all that information ingrained into his brain while he was on the ship. Fine. Okay. And then we go
because
on
that's
to
how the
like
actor
for
plays it.
and
He
then
he he plays it as it's like an intuition. You know,
an
that's how it.
intuition, but it just
Yeah.
it didn't feel natural
Like he
because
didn't
why
show
didn't he
the
have that
intuition.
intuition before? Does that make sense? And then he gets to the Fortress of Solitude, and of course, like it's in that part of the movie, it's kind of like a coming of age section, and so like Joel is like, now if you're seeing this, you're 18 years old, and I'm
Are you
like,
calling him
what?
Joel?
Yeah, he's calling him
Isn't
Joel.
no?
Joel.
Joel.
What
Joel.
is it? What is it? What is it?
It's
Jor-El.
Jor-El.
Oh, Jor-El. Oh, my bad. My
Played
Joel.
bad.
by played
Okay.
by
Oh,
What
the
if
oh,
I
my
was
great
bad.
British? I would
played
call
by
him
the
Joel.
great played by the great Marlon Brando.
No, no, don't you
And
mean
so and so
Merlin Brito?
And so we go into this like cutscene of like different galaxies where he talks about, like, I guess it's Superman learning about like history, and then 12 years pass, and suddenly he comes out with this Superman suit without any explanation as to where the Superman suit came from. No explanation as to like in this movie there's no like rhyme or reason for it. He just comes out with this clothing which is not similar to the clothing they were wearing in Krypton with the S, and the S never gets explained, and it's just,
Well,
The
it's the
us
it's the
the
House of
us is
L.
very
I,
self-explanatory though.
huh?
It's
It is very self-explanatory.
Well, the S is sure because his father was wearing it, but I
Yeah,
know that
it's their
it's
like
his
house.
in the
Yeah.
family
comics, like
crest.
Yeah.
in the comic, or at least I've seen in some
Yeah, they
renditions
explain
of
that it means
Superman,
hope and stuff. Yeah.
that it means hope, and none of that gets explained. But sure, I can maybe understand that that's just like the
Well,
crest of their family.
that's something from
But
Man of
like,
Steel. It's the
what
House
about
of L. That is what the S is. It
okay,
is his
Yeah.
okay,
family crest.
House
Yeah.
of L. Okay,
Yeah.
then there's the S. Okay, what about the suit though?
I mean, I would assume that he just made it himself. I
He
mean,
just
you
he
know,
Well,
just
you know
made
what?
it. Just
I will admit I'll agree with Sebastian on this due to the fact that it does kind of feel, I won't say left, like, here's the thing. That's the issue with watching this movie, right? With now, because we understand who Superman is. Superman is an icon. And I'm sure for folks that were watching this movie
no,
who didn't
no.
understand, they're like,
I'd have to.
what's the context of this suit and how was it made and stuff like that? Because it does kind of come off where it's like, why this design and what's the meaning behind it, you know?
Because whether I know who Superman is or not, this is something that does not get explained. So if I didn't know who Superman was, this would be an even bigger like uh, uh I
Exactly.
don't
No,
want to
that's what
call
I'm
it a
saying. Yeah.
plot
If you
hole,
don't
but
know,
it's like a bigger gap. It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
okay, and then we get to, okay, well, actually seeing his rendition of playing like the two characters, the Superman and the Clark Kent, that was pretty good. He did a really good job with that.
Very
he's
good.
Uh,
Yeah.
he's
I
he's the
really like that.
goat.
He's
He
I
very
is
think
good.
that
the
was like the only redeeming aspect of that movie is his acting. Um, when
I'm
they're
it
happy
is a
he,
flying,
trans it is a
I happy he
transcendental
doesn't.
performance. I was
Yeah.
about to say, if you're going to talk about
I know if
Christopher
he was
Reeve
going to talk
bad,
about Christopher Reeve
it's
bad,
over
I'm
for
sorry, we
you,
would have had to
son.
kick you out,
That
dude.
man's a hero. Like on screen and off screen, R.I.P. my boy. He is
I don't know
a
anything about him,
hero.
but that performance
Guy's
was pretty good.
awesome.
I
That
really
guy,
like that
that guy,
performance.
that guy shows Christopher. That guy shows Stephen Hawking what it means to be.
And
Wow,
then and
Brian,
then
are
we
you
get to
serious? Wait, hold on a second. Sebastian, let's team up against Brian now.
No,
You know,
please
for
what did
that
he
continue.
say?
joke, that's
What did he say?
insanity.
What did he say?
You can rewind it.
No,
You can
yeah,
rewind it,
Okay.
continue.
everybody. That was insanity. Get out of here. I'm gonna put him in the waiting room. That's
I
unbelievable.
mean, he has to accept the waiting room, so he could just deny it.
Not if I can help it.
Oh my God. All right, continue.
Anyways,
But that's insane. Watch the Christopher Reeve documentary and you'll understand exactly why I did that.
okay.
All right,
Are we
okay.
bringing him back or are we continuing?
I know
Okay.
he's coming back. He's coming back.
This is bullshit. All right, continue.
So, and then they're doing the whole flying scene, and there's barely any air going through her hair, which I found funny. I was like, it was completely unrealistic, but I know a lot of films do that, so I didn't really care about it
Yeah.
that much.
Look, you
Um,
know what else is unrealistic? A man flying.
but
with a woman.
not within the world though. Like within the world, this makes
I would
sense
say,
because
yeah,
this
it
is
should be
part of
grounded
the
in some
world.
reality,
But
but it's also
wind
that part is very fantastical if you think about it,
wind does not like wind never just stops blowing people's hairs, especially if you're flying however many miles per hour all the way up in the atmosphere, like up in one of the layers of the atmosphere. It's just I don't know why you're defending that point. I don't think
I
that's the hill you
because
want to die on.
I don't
I
know why
think you're
that's such
looking
a
at
point. I
I
think
think
that's the
you're
more
looking
important
at it
thing.
I think you're looking at it in a way that isn't the intention of the film.
Mhm.
You know, they make a lot of reference in the film about Clark and Superman being like a real life fairy tale, you know, like they literally compare him to Peter Pan at one
Yes.
point. And
Yeah.
the idea of it is it's about fantasy kind of creeping into reality. You know, if you look at the character arc of Lois Lane, she starts out as like a really cold cynic who doesn't really believe in people and everything. And this character who should not exist, like literally is like against what reality has to offer and what has shown her is like he it literally sweeps her off her feet. You know what I mean? And like gives her a new kind of hope
Yeah.
in humanity, you know?
Hope?
And that's
No.
I
He gives
that
her a hard on, but he doesn't give her hope in humanity.
I she literally ends her last film is about him being there for everybody. So I don't know how you define hope, but like that's quite literally what it is.
I
Um,
don't know, man.
you know, I mean,
I don't know about that. I
I
didn't like
also
her
hope
Superman
character.
is there
I
for
did
also
not like her
everybody.
it ends
character.
off with kind of fixing all the issues. That is hope in the sense of that they have someone who is able
Okay,
to
we're gonna.
fix,
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna
you
get to
know?
that.
Yeah, I can't
But
believe
I'm
that's a
gonna get to
complaint.
that
I can't believe
because
you're like, that's
Well,
not a real
well,
struggle.
out of
I think my
everything with
point
this
still
movie, that
stands.
was my
I
biggest gripe.
well, and we can get to that, but I think my point still stands is that it's literally about a character who's like a figment of people's imagination.
Mhm.
Like what happens if that character becomes real? And in a really cold, harsh reality, you know, you have people like Lex Luthor who's buying up land and only with the intent of destroying the land around it so that he can make money. You have
Capitalism,
like there you go. It's capitalism. It's I mean that's kind of the main the main
but
threat in this film.
but that was something also that didn't make sense. Like Lex Luthor is being like pursued around by these like cops, and apparently he's like so known as as a criminal or whatever that he's like he has police chasing him, and they know who he is, but they don't realize that the corporation buying the land is under his name.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
kind of
you
it's kind of stupid. And then Superman is like he brings him to a random ass prison that gets brought out of nowhere to a random ass warden, and he's like, I have him. And then Warden is like, who is he? Lex Luthor, and you can keep him until he gets a fair trial. And he's like, thanks, Superman. America's safer thanks to you. What the fuck? And then he just turns around and walks away. What the fuck? I was like, what the fuck? But that wasn't even my big. I just laughed at that part because it was absolutely ridiculous. But going back to what we were just talking about a moment ago,
Yeah.
you're talking about like the fantasy aspect of Superman, and yes, this is true.
yes.
And the fantasy is that he can, lift like a helicopter, or he can, act as a trail rain, or he can go into the depth of the San Andreas Fault and lift a rock, and somehow the entire San Andreas Fault gets fixed. Complete nonsense. But that is the fantasy aspect of it. But now,
I don't think
if
it's
you're
just
gonna have
that, but go
you're
for it.
gonna have someone flying, and you're not gonna have wind in their hair, then there's because then what? So Superman is literally just like completely anti like the physics, but it's
But
also
I
not
think
that.
Sebastian
isn't the
wanted
idea of the
I
character
think
though? Isn't
Sebastian
the
wanted to
No,
fly and hit
but I think
Superman in the
I
face. Like
I mean,
I
I
know
just
I
brought this
you
up
wanted
as
them
a
to hit a
non.
bird or
I just
something.
brought this up as like a minor issue. Like, oh yeah, they
But
didn't
it
bother.
speaks to
And
the
this
heart
is,
of the film, I
and I
think.
would, I would give you that if I didn't know
Hmm.
that every other film or like a lot of like cheap films or cheap television does this because they just don't bother paying attention to the little details. Like this is not something that's unique to Superman. This is something that's unique to so many other films.
Yeah, but does that critique alone ruin the aspect of the film to the point where it's like, oh, it's unwatchable and it's so like just
I
because
didn't say
they
that.
okay, well, why is it a point? That's I guess that's our
I just said
question.
I just brought it up as like a minor point that
Well,
it
I
was
think,
kind of nonsense. Like it was just silly
Yeah,
that
but
they
you
didn't
wouldn't
have it.
bring it
but
up
it
as a
is,
minor
but
point if it wasn't there was a point to it, you know?
I don't.
I'm bringing up all the things I noticed about the movie.
And bring them
I
all
don't.
up.
No, no, no. I understand, but I don't think it's like. I think there's a difference between nonsense and escapism. Like the point isn't that, hey, they're up in the air. The point is that of that scene, of Lois and Clark up in the
Yeah.
sky, it's not about them flying, it's about them getting closer to each other.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's about Lois opening up as a person. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly,
not
yeah.
it's a very romanticized scene.
It's
You
her
know, I mean,
enjoying the simplicities of stuff that she once overlooked,
it's
you
about
know?
her like falling in love, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, I don't think about her hair. Like, I think about the poems that she says in her mind. You know what I mean? I think
I
about
mean,
what
but
she's
it's a
I would
feeling.
really
say that's a
superficial,
little
but it's a really
weird too, but
superficial. I mean, and this is something I didn't like about her character because she was like a very superficial character.
mm,
She's specifically to Clark Kent. She is extremely cold. She's extremely dismissive. Um, but because Superman is this like as she calls him a god because he's essentially a god, who can fly around and he has super strength. She falls for him, and that is and
Well,
that
I mean,
is
he's
really the
Superman.
biggest. That is like literally the main reason she doesn't know him. She doesn't know like his personality other than the little interview that did with him and the fact that he called himself
He
a
did he
friend.
he did save her life though. I mean, like if a dude comes up and like
So
if I'm
so
falling off a building and a dude
uh-huh.
flies up and catches my ass, I'm probably gonna want to smash. You know what I mean? Just because it's like it's unbelievable. Like
also I feel like it's not just
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. But
reason alone. It
but
also
then
has to do with
is she really falling in love with individual or is she falling in love with the idea of the individual? Is she
well, it's
falling
not
in love
about
with the
the idea of
superhero?
the
And she
individual.
is actually falling in love with the idea of the superhero
Well,
because she doesn't really know
it's
him.
not about loving the
well, sure, but
superhero and stuff
why
like
is
that
that?
because she's very critical of Superman. You know, that she is very critical of who he is and stuff like that and what's his idea and more importantly who he is
What?
supposed to be. The thing that she loves about him, right, is that Clark is a
At what
representation.
point is she critical of him in this film? I must have missed it. At what point is she critical of Superman in this film?
Well, I mean, there is
Crickets?
that moment that no, no, no. I was about to say there is
Yeah,
that moment
Julius,
where
tell
like she's in
Shut the
that
fuck
scene
up,
where
Brian.
yeah, you guys sick 'em boys.
him. Tell him, Jules, tell him.
I mean, obviously, like when he starts talking about his mission, she doesn't take him seriously.
Exactly.
She doesn't really believe. It's very clear that she doesn't believe in.
But that's not criticism. That's just her
Yeah, I mean,
cynicism.
it's
But
an interview.
it's
She's
not. I
interviewing
mean,
him. She's
she
asking him real questions, and
she didn't say like, "Hey, that's fucking stupid," but she obviously doesn't agree with him. It's
exactly.
two differing
Yeah, she is
ideologies.
being cynical. She is literally
She's a
laughing in his
cynic,
Okay, but
yeah.
face
that is not
about.
criticizing him. That's not okay. Well,
Here's
first
the
of all,
thing.
that's not
She's laughing
criticizing
in
him.
his face about the ideas that he represents, but when she truly understands and falls in love with him, is seeing who he is as the person. It's not about like, that whole interview is basically saying like, oh, he has such a super. I mean, even that line, it's like,
I
oh,
think
you
you need
want
to
to
watch
destroy
the film
every
again
politician out there
because
and stuff like that, you know?
it's a very superficial like thing that she like falls for.
It's not,
And the
it's going
fact that
back
you
to the
I don't
basics
mentioned
think
of
that
it's
like,
it's her
it's
superficial at
going
opening
back to
all.
the basics
her
of someone
heart,
falling in love with someone for who they are and not of like whatever, what
how if
people
she
view
doesn't know
as and
him?
stuff like that.
If she
Because, I mean, if we
doesn't know
really think
him.
about it,
What does she
Lois
need to
Lane is
know
not,
in first meeting him? What does she need to know in first meeting him when he saves her life and lifts a helicopter and says, "Hey, I'm your friend." Like we
I mean, that's all
I don't understand the like have you never seen a girl before that you thought was beautiful and wanted to pursue? Like
have you never
sure,
seen a
sure.
I
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah. No,
girl?
no, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally, 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 totally.
and I'm not even talking about like a girl who can fly and shoot lasers. I'm talking
No,
about
I
just
know,
like
I
a
know, I
chick.
know,
A
I
wo-
know, I know, I know.
a
But
woman.
you're here talking about like the romanticism and the escapism
Absolutely.
and how this is such a profound and like intimate, like a profound scene. but it's not because for at the end of the day, at least until their relationship progresses, this is purely superficial. That is the point I was trying
I
to
don't
make.
think, but I don't, well, the point I'm making is I don't think it's superficial at all. I think it's about someone, it's okay. The idea of a relationship, right? In my opinion, the best the best outcome of a relationship is that you can learn something about yourself, on any level, something about you can open up, or you can learn to back away from something when it's not right for you and everything. When these two meet, when Superman meets Lois Lane and take an interview, is kind enough to take an interview with her and everything, listen to her questions, be flirty and everything, and then they have this moment where they fly across the world and everything, up in the sky and everything, like she starts to believe again. She starts to get her hope again,
Mhm.
and that's a gift that this fucking guy right here gave her. Like that's
And more
it's
important, yeah.
I think
And
that's like the beautiful aspect of it. I
exactly.
think
And
like
also
that's one of
Okay.
my favorite scenes
that's
in
one of
film.
the biggest things about his character too, and stuff like that, and to do a real funny callback to like Kill Bill and stuff like that, it's basically it's Superman's opinion and view on humanity. And the thing is that he views humanity, it's innocent and it's beautiful, and there is hope, and there is kind of like a sense of beauty in everything. And Lois is the opposite of that. She's playing on the cynical side of understanding the reality of the world, something that maybe he's not used to, and he slowly gets used to it. I mean, he does learn that within very much at the end of the film, but it's very much like a contrasting on why they work so well, because Lois is very much the cynic and Superman is the hope.
I don't know. I'm not. I want
It's a
like
better relationship than Han and Leia.
I don't know because he's also in it just for the super. Like, there's nothing necessarily specifically about her that is explicitly said in the film that makes Clark Kent or Superman for that matter to
Yeah.
fall in love with her. It's purely a physical attraction. Um, and when she's dismissive to the Clark Kent persona, but she's extremely interested in the Superman, he kind of takes that as a win for himself, even
Mm.
though you're technically two different people and she's not treating you the same way, like with the same respect. But whatever.
Let me ask you
Unless you
this.
guys
Let me
wanna,
ask you this. Let me
uh-huh,
ask you this. The character that Clark is at like the Daily Planet and everything, bumbling
yeah.
dude, is that
A
who he
bumbling
really
cinema.
is? Is that who he really is? Or is he really Superman?
Oh, that's a great question.
You got
I
him.
would
You got
say,
him, Jules. You got him.
Because what I would say is that she's the reason she likes Superman a lot is
Yeah,
because she's seeing who he really is.
exactly. And Clark is his
mm,
persona, his fursuit.
okay, maybe I'm willing to concede that point.
Sebastian, I have something to tell you.
Mm.
Stop, get away. Get out of here.
Anyways, oh, I see what you were. Yeah, okay.
Well, and I think that that moment after the flying scene where you really see the performance when he takes off his glasses and everything. You see the physical transformation that Christopher
Mhm.
Reeve does.
That was pretty cool.
Amazing, amazing,
Yeah,
and like
I
to
have I have no complaints about his performance, like I
perfect.
said.
You better not.
Well, no, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Sebastian.
oh my
And then comes
god.
the most egregious part of the film.
Oh,
That's
okay. I'm ready
probably
for
the only
this.
thing I want to talk about.
God, okay.
And it's
He's like,
how
I'm done.
she dies
Yes.
and he's
Spoilers.
like, okay, well, I guess now I'll fly around the Earth in the
Mhm.
opposite direction of its rotation, and that's somehow gonna turn back time, which also bullshit. There would be absolute
Oh my God,
like
guys, the
geolog.
sci-fi is not realistic. This is the end of the
Yes,
world.
yes, yes. But he turns back time, right? And then he
Like
rewinds it so
this.
that time starts rolling again, and then and then that's it. That's
Well, do
This
you
is
that's
know why
definitely
that
that's
is
it.
there? But do you know why
There's
that
no
is there?
because he's not supposed to change the history.
well
Exactly.
those
But it's
But
bullshit because at
why?
the end
But
of the
why?
day, but why? But
Yeah,
why? I don't
exactly. But
fucking
why?
know.
Explain that one. Explain that one to me.
Why is he not supposed to change the history?
Explain. Yes.
Well, if I had to explain it from the perspective, because that's something I disagreed with, like that
Yeah.
philosophy is something I disagreed with.
Yeah.
But if I had to like excuse it, it'd be because he's not from the planet and he can basically be God. And so it's a way for him to in a way not
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 be
play God.
Yeah.
corrupted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
not be
Yeah.
Yeah.
corrupted.
Well,
Yeah.
real quick, I believe it is because of the absolute opposite, due to the fact that Jor-El is telling him you're not supposed to be doing this. This is antithetical to your mission and who you are. But his father, his earthly father, is telling him you must do when you have in your responsibility. And you know who does that? A person, a human. We humanize Superman with this affect because he is in love for the
Unless
first
there's a
time.
tornado present.
He's
I
in love for the first time.
so I guess that's
But also
taking
it's
I
because
guess
he's doing this because he's full of emotion. If he was still Kryptonian, if he was this image of like a god and a being and whatever and stuff like that, he would just allow Lois to die. He would just allow Lois to continue to do and let bygones be bygones and let the world be it. But because he has learned humanity and humility and the experiences of what it means to be more than what he has put on the earth, that's why he makes it a better place with reverting time and reverting the effects of what happens.
I mean regardless of whether that's true as a I mean I guess I didn't consider the change history as a literally like a literal don't change time.
Yeah.
I thought it more like, for example, don't intervene in global events because then you're playing, for example, God. And I
Mhm.
thought that was a pretty okay like explanation or at least a pretty okay cop out as to why he can ignore the systemic problems within like all the problems. Like he goes around beating like petty criminals, which is all great and good, but then what about like, for example, all the wars happening around the globe, right? So he gets to ignore those because he is not, or at least in this film, he gets to ignore those because he's not supposed to change human history. That is the way I was understanding it.
Yeah.
It's
If
just
you want
funny
to
that you're
say,
saying that just because the new film,
The
the
new
film we
movie,
just
literally, yeah.
watched, is literally about you probably like this new film more,
Oh
to be
yeah,
honest,
he would. He
okay,
would.
because they address a lot of what you felt
Those
was
issues, yeah.
missing from this
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
And
um,
I'm not gonna say it's not missing from Superman the movie. I just think that it's more
Well, it's
about,
also maybe it wasn't a concern or thought process of maybe of Americans during that time and era. Maybe
well, I
that's,
mean,
you know.
that's not true because
I think
during the
it was,
70s
but
there was a lot of political
no,
like
there was,
Yeah,
but
but
I
this
think
was
that's
like
what
late
made this,
70s too, you know?
but even regardless, those problems are always going to exist within cultures all over the place.
Yeah.
But I think that's why this movie was made the way it was made, is so that it can be like this. During the late 70s, we had films like Taxi Driver, fucking Raging Bull. Like the movies really changed during that era to a much more grounded, dark, raw
Mhm.
approach of movie making. And a movie like this, um,
right.
in the later 70s, a lot of movies became more idealistic, and I
Yeah.
think that like art is meant to not only reflect the times that it's made in, but I think it's also meant to respond to a lot of times. That's why
Yeah.
this new film that we just got out of, like, everyone was so happy because we've
Yeah.
been waiting for a movie to make a
Uh,
statement like Superman, the same type of statement that the 70s film made, in that being good is unbelievably underrated. Just being decent. You will get criticized for it no matter what. And I think that's
I
why,
don't think that's true though. Like, who is getting out here criticized by being a decent human being?
well, I mean, I can bring up specific examples, but when we have an administration that we currently have right now that
Yeah.
is not based on unity, that is not based on
But that is not
bringing
like that is
even
not the
Americans together.
general population. That is being like those are pieces of shit, like vile pieces of shit, who are being criticized for being vile pieces of shit.
Well, sure, but they also are in positions of power, and when you're in positions of power in a nation, you you have a say in the narrative. You know, you can't tell me we don't live in a cynical age right now. You know what I mean? It was in
Sure, we
2013 we
live in
were
a cynical
introduced.
age because people have realized that, like as you're saying, the shit people are in power.
Right. So
But
that's why I'm saying films like this, art like this are important, even if it
well, I'd
doesn't
have to watch it.
fit
I
in.
have to watch it because
Well, it could be said for this film. It could be said for this movie.
like this film just doesn't really like it doesn't. You can say that it's idealistic and that was the point of it, but then that just means it's not a movie to think about. Like that just means it's a movie to consume and not really think
I
about it.
disagree with that. 100
Well, I
when a
mean,
movie
yeah,
when a
I mean,
movie
well, first off,
I
every
mean a
movie
movie
is a
can.
movie to think about, no matter what it is and stuff like that. Even if movies put it plain out, simple out there. I mean, if we think about it, the most simplistic film of like Barney and stuff like that, there's still something. There's something. I mean, no, I mean,
Pardon
literally,
me.
if you think about
Barney's a
like
terrible
Mr. Rogers,
example.
that is show to think about, and it makes you think. And then you think about Tenet, that's like the complete opposite, where it's like it's devoid of thought, but it also makes you think about it. There's very little to kind of work around it. Every single piece of media out there makes you think and lets you think. Even if they have a plain message out there, it doesn't make it less valuable for you to think or to acknowledge a fact. I mean, the same could be said about the movie that me and Julius just watched today. They make the message plain out there and simple, but it's not like it devoids you of thinking,
No,
you
no,
know?
no. I'm not saying that the message has to be deep and meaningful for you to like it. No, no. I'm just saying like the message can be plain and simple, but it's just not a movie that has like you can give it a message because you want to see a message in it. But
Yeah,
the movie itself, at least this Superman, the movie, doesn't really have much of a message.
I mean, I think
I
it
it
doesn't
just
need
it
to have a plain, like, just, hey, we're stating what it's about to be impactful. You know what I mean? Like, I think this movie is fondly remembered because of a lot of aspects. I mean,
yeah,
Christopher Reeve is the number one. John
yeah,
Williams' theme is number two for sure.
yeah,
The iconic moments, the characters, just the movie itself. Uh,
yeah,
like this movie, whether you think it's outdated or not, and I could see why people would consider it outdated, of course.
yeah.
I think it still has lasted the test of time. I
Mhm.
mean, they have the John Williams theme play in the movie that came out today. You know what I mean? Because of the icon status of this movie, of this interpretation.
okay.
But do you know what I mean?
I
Like
mean, we were
I
talking about something completely different, but okay.
well, I don't think I am. I'm talking about how this movie is it is
It's
important,
Because you
I
influential
started
think.
talking
and it,
about the
It's
message,
and it
and then I
grows.
said it didn't really have a message, and now you're talking about
well,
the
I
things
don't
that
even
make it
agree.
memorable.
I don't
As
well, what's a
I'm just
message
I'm just
for? Is a
I'm
message
just
just to
I'm
be
just
said and
confused
not
now.
remembered?
So the message is Christopher Nolan's performance,
Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve's
Yeah, Christopher
performance
Nolan. Wait,
I
it's the
think his
message in a bottle.
is the message in a bottle.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the message is just well, they do say the message multiple times, and
Yeah,
they end off, we're all on the same team here. A character like Superman is meant to unify people, to give people hope. Hope is the message.
Okay.
Hope is the
yeah,
theme of the film. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
yeah.
come on.
Okay.
Come on, dog. Come on.
Well, regardless, if I can get back to my biggest gripe with the movie, which I have not been able to address, uh, we
Let's
come
get the
to
big
this
nut.
time travel thing. Okay. We come to this time travel thing, and it completely invalidates all the every single struggle that there is to be made is completely invalidated. Like Superman will never face, other than if maybe he puts on like if he gets tackled by kryptonite, nothing else matters because he can just go around the earth and he can change the timeline. And so at the end of the day, there are no stakes. He could, for example, let everyone die while he takes a shit, and then he just flies back around the world and then does whatever he needs to do. Like there are no stakes. the entire time of the movie, I was like, the characters who we're supposed to care about, like the photographer and the reporter, they're gonna be fine. The kids in the school bus, they're gonna be fine. I'm not feeling any sort of like, will they make it or not? Because they will. And when she didn't make it, I was actually like, oh my gosh, they actually went for it. And then he traveled back in time and he was like, oh, well, there it is. There was no stakes. There was no reason for me to get emotionally like there is no investment that I can make that's gonna be like, how can I say this? Like, there's no stake to my investment because I know the characters are going to be okay. Like, at the end of the day, the characters are going to be okay because Superman can just travel back in time and fix everything. So that was my biggest issue with the movie. It just feels like it's kind of like those stories where you go through the character through like this like great journey and this great adventure, and you get really invested with everything, and then they wake up and nothing was real, and it's like, oh, I just wasted my time. You know, it felt like that. It felt like that because at the end of the day, Superman can just turn back time and fix things.
Listen, would I have gone in the turn back the Earth uh time travel direction? No. I
I'm
do
not talking about
happen
what
to
you would
agree.
have done. I'm talking
No,
about
well,
what they
no,
did.
I'm trying to agree with you, God damn it. Jesus
Okay,
Christ. God, like listen, I agree with a lot of that. Um I no, I wouldn't have gone in that direction either. I do think it is like the weakest part. It's obviously a moment, like it's a product of what Superman was at that time. I think this was I think this was pre-crisis. So like the Superman of that era was very much like a super who could like do anything, who could punch so hard he broke the walls of reality, you know, who sneezed and galaxies would form and everything. This is a Superman that was much less defined than he currently is in the modern age and everything. Like it was
sure.
the ultimate power fantasy and everything. And
Right.
you know, yeah, no, I agree with that. I wish they don't do that, but at the same point I still love it. I still really love it. I love his performance there, his the loss, like you feel the loss there.
Oh
And
yeah.
The
even
loss,
that's
the LOS.
the
Yeah, his breakdown, his human side, the side where you
But did
know.
it matter though? Like that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, did it matter that he had a breakdown when he knew he could just like go back in time
Well, no, I
and
mean,
fix things?
it does.
Like
I mean, like I was saying earlier, it matters due to the point. I mean, I'll
like
admit it could be a
it
caveat here. This is what I'll
it
say.
doesn't.
It does feel a little funky due to the fact that there is other Superman movies. It probably should just probably ended there due to the fact that it kind of feels like it's like the most ultimate power up, and
other
then
Christopher Reeve films, by the way. That's what he
yeah,
means by
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Uh,
But like I said earlier, the reason why that scene is so powerful and like it is used as MacGuffin, but it's important and it's used there due to the fact that it's kind of showing how he is going against what his
The
father's
wiring.
mission was.
sure,
Yeah,
against
he is
the
doing
whole
that
like
because
he
it's
he
his
has
emotion
he's
and
like
it's
he's in a conflict between what he is told from his biological father and what he and his humanity. Sure, there's that conflict.
yeah,
I give you that. But like he has no reason to go through the emotional distress of losing her when at the end of the day he can just turn back time. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't
well, it
like
also seems like
there's no point. It's not like he loses anything, at least not in this film. He doesn't lose anything by ignoring the request or rather the instructions that his biological father gave
well, yeah,
him.
because he's
He doesn't
losing
have to
kind of like
contend
what
he
his
doesn't
father told him and stuff like that because he holds his
but he
father's
doesn't have to
words
contend
so
like
high. It's kind of like going against the words that he's grown up for all his life. It's the words that he's supposed to live by versus the words that he grew up with, and he's choosing to go with what he grew up with instead of what he's supposed to live by. And that's a big
oh
emotional
I think
standpoint for him,
I think
I don't
emotionally they
know.
also set this up in that like he couldn't save his dad. Like with
Yeah,
he says with all the powers that he has, he couldn't save his dad from having a
yeah,
heart attack. And here, like even if he turned back time then, he wouldn't be able to stop the heart attack.
exactly,
With
yeah.
this is something like it is and it isn't a Deus Ex Machina because the whole time travel thing is it is set up
It
as
is
like
a
a
Deus
It
rule.
Ex
is,
Machina.
You
yeah.
can't well, I mean, a Deus Ex Machina would be something that isn't set up, but like this at least thematically, is set up to where it's like you can't interfere with human history, whether you take that literally or not. They took it literally in the film, but
Yeah,
the thing is I think Clark looked at Lois dying the way she died in a way that is like preventable if he had
yeah,
been there, as like, well, I can make up for my father's death here. Like I can
exactly. Yeah.
actually save, and also I love this woman, so
Yeah.
you know.
Hence
I'm
why his father shows up at that moment
like
in the
it's
memory, you know?
they do something that, and it's just kind of clicking with me right now, but like they
Yeah.
do something in the new film that is kind of reminiscent of this, not the time travel thing, but
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
he has a thing in the film where he will not let anyone die if he can help it.
Hmm.
Anything, not even anyone, anything. He
Anything.
will, like he will do whatever it takes. He will go the extra mile. That's why he's Superman. And I think here,
What
especially the
about
fact
germs
that
and
it is
bacteria?
Lois.
What about
Wait, what?
bacteria? What about bacteria?
Well, you know what? His sneezes are so powerful they create new bacteria. They're mini big things. Are
I don't think
but
that's how that works, but
Yeah.
okay.
well, you know what? He's Superman. Um,
Exactly.
um, I think like Lois is the woman that he loves, and it's like, I don't think he'd be able to live with himself as a man or as a hero
Exactly.
if he knew he could do something
Exactly. Yeah.
and didn't,
It's also kind of it's played in the sense of like this is like such an emotional breakdown where it's almost kind of like his first time ever doing this, you know? This is not like I mean it's establishing in the books, but it's very much showing like he's gotten to the breaking point where this is the woman that he loves and this he's willing to almost kind of take over the whole world and like fix the whole world in order to get her back, you know?
Well, and I mean, one thing I actually love about the sequence in California,
Hmm.
um, is that it is a parallel to the opening with Krypton. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Except the difference is Superman is able to do something about it now.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
And
know,
Superman
and
isn't a baby.
and it
Now
is
that I think about it, he can fly around the Earth in a matter of seconds, but he can't get from New Jersey to California in time to stop the nuke.
well, there were two nukes.
Yeah, one was in New Jersey, one was in California. You're telling
Yeah,
me he can go around the Earth multiple times in a matter of seconds to turn time to turn time back, but he can't get from New Jersey to back to California in that amount of time to stop both nukes going off.
those were some Stag Industries nukes that were highly developed with
That was actually presented by
sentimental
Oh,
Boeing and Lockheed
brother.
Martin. And so I did. No,
it's
you know
it's
what?
the
I can see Sebastian within like there's a bit of a fallacy with that, but you know what?
There's a lot of plot
It's
holes because
weird,
that
but it
wasn't.
also you could use in the sense of like it's weird to say, but you could say maybe the sense of urgency, but then it's also like yeah, it's two nukes dropping on the
Like
world, but it's also
I
like
don't think
you
this
can't
is the movie to use like the whole plot hole thing on, really.
no,
Like
like that's what
I
I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like Superman, I and this is just going to be a critique on Superman as a character, not
yeah.
Superman as
For some reason, I thought he was gonna say Superman is a billionaire.
as a film.
I'm still traumatized by
I'm not
Batman.
The like
Superman
I
is the
a
working class.
being
He
a
is the
being that is
proletariat.
a being that is so almighty like Superman, where he is essentially God. Like for fuck's sake, he can turn back time and then change the timeline as he sees fit. There are no stakes for such a being. Does that make sense? Like there
I mean,
are
I
no real challenges that a being like that can face, other than perhaps getting outsmarted because he can't see through lead. That was actually yeah, but it
well, I
doesn't
mean, I
Wait,
think it
what's your
also
opinion on
comes
that? What's your
down to
opinion on that?
on what.
On
on
that
what?
being able to see through lead?
I mean, it's fine. I
Okay.
mean, it's kind of cool that they give him. I mean, he can turn back time, but he can't see through lead. It's kind of bullshit, but at least I'll take it. Um,
You
yeah,
you
and in terms of plot holes, there are quite a bit of plot holes. Like take for example the entire scene where he gets baited by Lex Luthor. Somehow Lex Luthor figured like without like because he didn't like I don't think Superman would have said, "Hey, I'm allergic to kryptonite." So it's not like Lex Luthor had any idea for
no,
Superman.
he references that. He talks about the meteorite, and he
Yeah, he
talks
talks about the
about it.
meteorite, and somehow he knows that this meteorite from another planet has enough radiation that doesn't affect them, but will affect Superman. Does that make sense? How did he come to that conclusion?
I
There
it's
is,
been I don't remember the dialogue verbatim, but he does
well, I
explain
do.
his logic there.
No, he explains the logic. He explains like why the kryptonite will work, but he doesn't explain how he came to that conclusion. He just magically has this knowledge. And then another plot point with him is when
He was reading up on it. He was reading up on
so there's
the
a book written on Earth that says the kryptonite crystal from the planet Kryptonite, which we knew nothing about. Like this, as far as we knew, this planet did not exist. Um, is will affect Superman like beings. No,
he
he
no, no,
what
no.
he found
He
and
saw that the meteorite came from the direction where
yes,
Krypton was,
yes,
that Kal-El said this is where Krypton was in his
mm-hmm,
interview. We obviously don't hear
mm-hmm,
him bring up coordinates or anything. And
mm-hmm.
oh, Jesus Christ. And they talk about how, I believe, again, it's been a couple weeks since I watched the film, but he he does have a reason
I
behind
just watched it. He
thinking
does
that.
not give a reason as to he does not like arrive to a conclusion. He just already has that conclusion that the radiation affects humans, does not affect humans, but will affect Superman. And
Well,
that there is
he
no
said that it did irradiate, but it doesn't affect humans because it hasn't been. Like it's been there for a minute.
sure. How does he know that it's going to affect Superman? I mean, after
Because
all,
it's
these are
he's from Krypton.
you're from Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
Does is everything on Earth? Are you allergic to literally everything on Earth?
Well,
Every
I mean,
mineral on Earth?
I
I
Well,
mean
mean,
that could
if
if you
it's
be.
were
I mean,
emitting
you could say the same thing
if you were
with Superman. He's not from Earth, and lava and other stuff could be poured on him or whatever, and he's invulnerable to it. And the one thing that he is not invulnerable is from his own planet.
like
So
fire is my weakness, but
yeah,
you know what I
I'm
mean?
sure
no,
Julius went to
no,
another planet.
I
It wouldn't
don't
affect
think
him
that's a
because he's the
logical. I
Superman
think
of
you're
that
coping.
planet.
That is not a logical conclusion to come to just
But
by
the
the
sun
fact
is
that
Well, I
also
mean,
different
from what
on
they set
Krypton.
up, it is logical from what they set up. That's the point, you know?
no, it's not. You can't just say that someone is from a planet and therefore the crystals from that planet will make them so weak that they can't even stand up. Like, if that were true, then the people from Krypton wouldn't have been able to survive because they would have been the entire time.
It
Well, I
wasn't
mean, it also kind of shows with
irradiated.
like how,
It
yeah,
was irradiated because of Krypton blowing up.
yeah.
And how would he know? How would he know that that is like? See, it doesn't.
No,
You're
because
giving cop outs that don't
no,
like.
because they know it's
You
irradiated,
are
but it's not harmful to humans.
But how do you know that that irradiation is going to be harmful to someone who can withstand
Who's from that
lava?
planet?
Yes.
What? Oh, Brian, it's like, I'm leaving.
Oh no, I'm
Like
just gonna
I
take
mean,
my
I don't.
filler.
just because you're from a planet doesn't mean like it's not like if you fall to I don't know somewhere if you go to another planet and a chunk of iron ore falls net near you, it's gonna be as poisoning to you probably as the other people around that like planet.
I mean, but they. I
It's just
mean,
not a logical conclusion to come to,
I
and
think your gripe is
even if it
against kryptonite in general, not it
no,
in
my
this
gripe
film.
is against the plot hole in the film, and then he's supposed to like they're communicating like he's sending the telepathic message. Somehow he knows what frequency that Superman is going to understand the frequency that dogs listen, like which he does, and also explain how he came to this conclusion. He just knows that Superman is going to like I understand this frequency.
Well, you're not going to accept what I'm about to say, but he is the character is like an evil genius, and he doesn't explain, oh, Superman, I fucking tested this on three dogs before going into the high frequency,
He's
but
an evil genius, but he doesn't
he
have the
does
foresight to know
I
that
will. You know what? Yeah.
he
he
doesn't have
does say I
he's a
worked it out.
genius, but he doesn't have the foresight to say that to realize that if he like sends a nuke to the place of one of his goons, one of the goons like loved ones is that that goon won't turn on him. Like that's not a like
I will
that's
say
a
this is the one
contradiction.
thing I do agree with Sebastian on with this film is that, and I know we were talking about this earlier, But I know it'll be like people will be like, "Oh, how dare you say this?" And I know you were saying it already, but
I was saying as
but
well.
Lex Luthor is the weakest link for me in this whole film, due to the fact that, the thing is, the issue with this movie is that Superman is idealistic Superman. Lex Luthor is not really idealistic Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor in this movie feels kind of like a very,
What do you mean by that?
well, for me at least, like with what I mean, it's really hard to compare with like now versus then and stuff like that, especially with certain characters. But like Superman has always been this perfect ideal. Like it's easier to basically write Superman due to the fact that it's just kind of like understanding what like someone who finds the simplicity and the beauty of humanity while also like being so powerful. With Lex, it's kind of like the complete opposite. So it's interesting to see different interpretations and different um, theories on like, oh, is Lex a maniacal whatever, or is he kind of like a very charming person? And it's very funny. In this one, he's very much plays as both and stuff like that. I love the more interpretation of Lex Luthor as a charming villain because it kind of makes sense to why people kind of tolerate him. Because if he was so evil, I mean, it's very hard to. I mean, I agree with Sebastian. They kind of just acknowledge that he's evil, and they don't really do a whole lot about it. And it's kind of really hard to see that. It's a villain, someone who's so evil, has to have some charm to have some followers and some people to like follow them. And this Lex is just purely like like he feels more of like a Bond, like a really bad Bond villain, or like a very like very funny what is it, Austin Powers villain, like he doesn't feel Lex to me. He just feels like a very generic villain. He doesn't
Well, I mean,
encapsulate who Lex
it
Luthor is.
also,
He just is like a maniacal evil genius. I mean, that's kind of very
I
broad.
think,
The
Genius.
importance about,
I
yeah,
think you'll
exactly, the
find,
importance about Lex is that he is a real maniacal evil genius, and he expands that by being charismatic and other tools and other facets that almost kind of convince the people around him that, oh man, he's speaking truth, which is why it works so well with like the new Superman. But like I said, it's hard to make a comparison between now and then. It just that is the idealistic Lex, and the Lex that we're
well,
shown in this
for you,
movie.
Brian.
Well, no, I think in general because that
Well,
works.
I don't
Because
think,
if we just have a very
I mean, it
maniacal,
depends on the
I
era.
mean,
It
it just
depends
feels
on
like
the era of
well, it just
Lex.
feels like a gray villain. Like it just feels like one of those OG Marvel like bad villains where it's like, yeah, he's evil, but like what's unique
He has
about
way
him?
more personality than a lot of the early Marvel villains, first of all. And second of all,
Yeah, he has
I mean,
personality, but like
if you
he's
look at
not
the no,
unique,
Brian, if you look at the if I mean, again, art is a reflection of the time,
Yeah,
and like I agree with you in that a lot of the characteristics of Superman since the 70s, let's just say the 70s for now, have stayed pretty much the same. But we've had so many different types of Lex Luthors
mhm,
since this film, and
exactly.
especially in the comics, like like his original origin, as far if I can remember, like if I 100% remember correctly, his original origin, the reason he hates Superman in the comics is because Superman is partially responsible for him being bald. So, like, this is a character that started off kind of Saturday morning cartoonish and has since they've developed it since.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
my Gene Hackman, rest in peace, is not my favorite Lex Luthor by any means. That I mean, Clancy Brown is the best. Michael Rosenbaum, Nicholas Holt now is up there, you know.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Lex, I prefer being more serious and everything, but I like what Gene's doing here.
I mean,
I like a lot of
the
what
thing is
Gene's
not
doing
about like
here.
liking or disliking. The thing about it is that it's not like that's what kind
We're
of
talking
prevents me
about
from
the
saying this movie
character,
is
not the
perfect. It's
actor.
that
Like,
he's not
No, I'm
what
saying
Lex
I
is supposed
like
to
the
be.
character. I like, well, what is he supposed to be? I mean, you're comparing him to like Young Justice or something? That show didn't come out back in the 70s,
Yeah, I
Brian.
know,
I'm telling
but the
you,
thing is, what I'm
back in the
saying,
day,
well, the thing is that what makes this movie not perfect in my eyes is due to the fact that its antagonist it does not feel like it completes
let me
Superman, you know? It doesn't
yeah,
feel
let me
like it's a
rephrase
full
that for you,
antagonist.
Brian.
Okay.
Superman is a being who can turn back time. He is a being who can, turn around and just dig a hole through the street, and that's all fine and good. Lex Luthor, who's supposed to be the main villain and is supposed to be a genius, is not an actual genius. And he does not just like as the ideal Lex Luthor, but as the ideal like evil genius. He's just not it. And he kind of he like it's even somewhat referenced, which like he is surrounded by idiots. Um,
Well, I think that's intentional.
and
So,
and and so it's not a real like genius. And so that I
Yeah.
think that's what Brian is trying to say. It's not like the ideal Lex Luthor. It's not the ideal
Yeah.
evil genius.
And
And
well, it's
go ahead.
Brain versus Brawn, and he does outwit Superman. You know, I mean, I don't even define Lex like if what Brian's talking about, which I agree with, by the way. Like, I don't define Lex by his intelligence. I define him by his ego. Like, that is the number one character trait of Lex Luthor, uh, despite him being a genius, because I don't think he's as smart as he thinks he is. That is like his ego is the 100% deciding factor as to why he even has a problem with Superman. You know, like no one else can be better than
Not
me.
in
No
this
one else can
film.
be more prop. I mean, he looks at
Well,
Superman as like the ideal, or
I
he
suppose
doesn't want
so.
to
I
admit
suppose
that.
so.
You know, I
I
think
suppose he does have some gripe in terms of like he's stealing the spotlight because he's about to do like this big thing.
yeah.
Um, so there is some truth to that ego, but the reason in this film why he goes after Superman is because he stands in the way of him making accomplishing his grand uh supervillain act. Like that is the reason he goes after Superman, not necessarily because of his ego, but because he stands in the way
but
of
he's all
him
about ego.
accomplishing.
He's all about vanity. You know, he's all about being the best and the brightest. They're like that's why he surrounds himself with dumb people so he can feel better about himself. That's why he wears wigs, you know, and dresses up the way he dresses, you know? Like he takes such pleasure in introducing Superman to Kryptonite because he one-upped the most powerful man in the world.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
I mean you're right, but
Of
what
course I'm right.
what what's the point you're trying to make?
It's the point is ego. That character is all about that.
Okay,
Yeah, but then, it
as
becomes
a
ego.
villain though,
Yeah. It
like
becomes
Right.
ego
Yeah.
without
No, I think
as a
that's what
villain,
reason,
like
you
ego is
know?
not like what type of trait like what type of if it's if as you said it's brawn versus brain.
Mhm.
Ego is not necessarily like I, I don't know.
I don't understand
Well,
how
I
it's
mean, ego
not.
is the
Like if he
opposite of like
if of selflessness.
selflessness, because
it
Superman is the embodiment of that. But I, when I see that point,
it's
it just feels like Lex, it feels very half-baked on his ego feels very half-baked because it feels like that's the only real characteristic about him, which then they kind of just really blanketly focus around like, oh, he's just this evil, maniacal, like rich person. But it's like that. I mean, how interesting is that, you know?
Well, I mean I agree that it's not as good a beef between the two as like Batman and Joker, let's
Yeah.
say. You know, it's not on that level. Um, but I still enjoy it. Like when those two interact, like in the third act, I still like I think it's great. You
Yeah.
know, the way they
Yeah.
play off each other is really good. Otisburg, I mean, come on.
I definitely would say, I mean, it's fine for what it is. For me, it just feels very like, darn, this is such a great movie. And I know that Sebastian has a very opposite opinion, but the big thing that really ruins the movie for me is Lex because it doesn't feel like he is. I mean, he feels like he's supposed to be Superman's rival, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel satisfactory. I mean, the reason why Darth Vader and Luke work so well is that they're the complete opposites of each other. A lot of other villains. I mean, the reason why the movie that we just saw today works so well is because they are the complete opposites of each other in so many ways, and they work so well with each other.
Well,
But
they
granted, they've had
also
so many years to work upon that.
well, and
It
they
just this one
interact
felt
more.
like
They interact more in the
they do
film
interact more.
together. So,
But with Superman 1978, it just feels like Lex is just just very bland in a lot of ways, you know?
he's just another villain.
Yeah, he's just another villain, and there's nothing unique about that. And then
There's nothing
that's why there's
characteristic that
not
says Lex Luthor. I mean,
exactly like
any
when you
like
think of Lex
literally
Luthor in
any
this
other
movie, you think,
villain
oh, he's
has
just
like
a
a big
villain,
ego.
but he is supposed to be the villain.
so is intelligence your definition? Like the defining character trait of Lex Luthor?
No, it's not about his intelligence, it's about his opposite to
As
Superman, and that's
Well,
my
as
opinion.
but they're not parallel to each other in
as
this film.
someone with limited as someone with limited knowledge to the Superman universe, that is, from my understanding, the like big Lex Luthor thing. He is a genius, and that is how he counters like the superheroes that he defeats.
Well, I am looking
Because in
I'm looking at it from a
in other
different perspective
renditions,
to where
in in other renditions, Lex Luthor has like a lot of technology that helps him even like physically fight Superman. So
well, I think that's also like
like Lex Luthor
and
is
with
supposed
that,
to
I
be
think that's
like the Iron
attributed to
Man.
that.
So
Right, but I
right
think that
now,
does come down
for
to
a
his
character,
ego.
for a villain that's supposed to be a genius, and he's not, and all he's got is like his ego, which is like,
I mean, you ask
eh,
it most Superman fans, that's how they're going to describe Lex Luthor. Like they're going to
I wouldn't
describe
even
him
say it's
based
about
on
his
his
ego.
he's
It's more about his jealousy, you know? It's
but that's ego.
that's,
I guess and stuff
you
like
could
that,
call
but
that part of ego,
yeah.
but again, like that doesn't. We've kind of deviated from the point, which is like Lex Luthor as a character was kind of like,
Well,
It was a
even if
very
he was
weak point
supposed
I
to
of the
be
was
a
film.
I only asked
genius.
that just because what you said was that you made a point about his like the point of his character, the define what defined the character and everything.
I
And
didn't ask that.
well, we can play it back, but I'm only coming from the comic fan angle of it, someone who
But we're talking
loves
about the film.
well, it's a comic book movie based on the comic
Yeah.
book
But
But we're
character.
talking
So
we
about the
also got
film.
to
You
acknowledge the
have to
fact that we have to
isolate the
come from
film.
it from both
how am I
sides
going to
due to the fact
isolate?
that
Would
well, it's
you?
not about isolating. It's about acknowledging the
Like if
fact
we're
that
talking,
this
no,
is a
no, here's
comic
the thing,
book
here's the thing. If
movie,
we're
but more
talking
I'm at.
about the
importantly, it's
film,
also
if we're
It's
making
talking
an
a
about a
adaptation.
specific film, if we're talking about a specific film, we have to talk about the film. And
Yeah,
because
sure.
because if you start bringing things about like other sources, sure, that's all fine and well, but like then I'm not part of that. Like for example, at least I'm not part of that
Well, I'm
conversation
not. I'm
because
not
I'm not.
dismissing your perspective
And
either.
I know you're not dismissing it, but like we have to like be able to like talk about the film as a standalone piece
And
before
well,
we can talk about.
I
well,
have
it's kind of
been.
hard to do that
I
with like
have been number
written
one.
works, you
Number
know?
two, it's a and it number one. I have been doing that. Number two, this is adapting comic book material. So, like with what Brian's talking about,
Yeah, it's like
like Brian said
it's like
that
How to
this
Kill a
isn't his
Mockingbird. It's like
Lex.
people are not gonna be like, "Whoa, this wasn't in the book," you know?
Like if we were talking about a Christian film, Brian would be getting all over you for saying, "Oh, this didn't fucking happen." Well, so like, right?
Well, I mean, I can see Sebastian's
I'm only
perspective and
respond,
stuff like that, you know?
but
But I
no,
mean,
and I understand his perspective. I'm just saying, I'm responding, Brian, to your point
yeah.
that this Lex is not Lex for you, and
Well,
that's
it's not
based
even
on
just about
other
being Lex for
material,
me.
right?
It's just like
That's
it
based
doesn't
on
feel like
other
it's the
material, right?
Lex for this
But
Superman.
but that's based on other stuff, right?
No, not just based on other stuff. Standalone from this, I mean, I'm like I said, it's very hard to really compare and contrast due to the fact growing up with different Lexes, but also I grew up with different Supermans too. It's just because of this movie and how its functionality, and I love how like it's such a great beginning, such an amazing like acts 1 through 3 are amazing. They work really well. It works really well to understand who Clark is from going from this amazing like forgotten destroyed world to becoming a farm like small farm boy to becoming this meek-willed mild person who's supposed to be like with other people and now the superhero. It feels weird that there's not someone who feels competent enough in the film. I mean, he ones up Superman, but like that's also any other movie. It's like any movie where there's a protagonist and an antagonist. The antagonist will always one up the protagonist until the protagonist beats him up. And towards that part of the movie, it feels very plain. It feels very not like what we just saw. It feels like it's almost like completely like they're going back into the formula of how like a movie should be instead of what was making this movie so great, you know?
I don't 100% follow, if I'm being
Okay.
honest. I
That's
mean, I
fair.
what it sounds like is that it was doing what it should have, but I don't know. I mean,
Well, because the for me, it feels like the movie takes a lot of risks. I mean, it's already taking a big risk on making a comic book movie for
mhm.
that era, but the movie is doing something very unique throughout its whole act. I mean, we're learning the whole life. and it doesn't feel bad, it doesn't feel bland, it feels unique, and we understand the perspective of who he is. So for me, it just feels kind of weak with having a villain that doesn't I mean, he is the complete opposite, but like, what's the motivation between that complete opposite? Just for him to always one up Superman? I mean, it feels very, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's very hard to really like critique this movie on a lot of things because it is of its time, you know? And this Lex is very much like Saturday morning cartoon. But it just doesn't, it feels like they wrote such an amazing Superman and they kind of neglected on Lex. And so I feel like with the antagonist, while he is great and he does his position of being the antagonist, it's not the same level of writing nor the same level of care that it is compared to Superman.
I don't know about the writing point, but I think the what I will say in kind I guess kind of agreeing with you is that
Mhm.
I don't think Gene Hackman is as good as Lex Luthor as
Mhm.
Christopher Reeve is as Superman. Like
Yeah,
just him, Chris being as good as he is in that role and owning
exactly.
it as
Yeah.
much. Like
Yeah.
I think Gene Hackman probably looked at the role, just the film differently,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that happened, throughout the process of making both the first film and the second film. Because for those who don't know, these Superman 1 and 2 were filmed at the same time. They were meant to be one film, but then they had to be split up because it became too much of a mess and everything.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a miracle that we got the movie that we
Yeah.
have. Um, so but like you
Did they
hear
come out at the
stories
same
of
time then? If they were filmed at the same time, did
no,
they
they
come out?
came out a
Like
little
a
bit
2 year
apart.
difference, right?
Yeah, I believe it was a two-year
Yeah.
difference because they had to. It was a whole thing between like Richard Donner was working on both, but then he was fired during two, and then
Yeah.
they got Richard Lester to come in finish two and everything. So it was a
Yeah.
whole
They wanted
it
the
was a whole
first name,
thing,
not the last name.
right? So, but the like you hear that about how different actors they took it because again there weren't as many comic book movies at the time. Like the last most prominent one before this was the Adam West film of
Hmm.
Batman, like these were very different types of movies, and even Marlon Brando was apparently being like a fucking dickhead on set, you know what I mean? And Christopher Reeve didn't like that. So Chris is the one who's 100% in it, like 100%
Yeah.
motivated, 100% gets the role. So long-winded way of saying I do agree with you, Brian. And I agree with Sebastian as well
Yeah.
about Lex is not the strongest part of the film for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad film. I know Sebastian thinks it is, but it's just
I thought
it's kind of
I
like,
didn't. I mean, I didn't think. I mean, I thought it was like mid,
well, you said it was mid.
And I
You
also said it was
opened up the
There's no
Zoom
ass.
such thing
call
as a
saying
mid
it was
movie. It's either
trash.
bad or good. It's kind of fine. It's kind of really hard to find a mid movie.
No, this was pretty mid. This is pretty fucking mid.
I don't even know what to say anymore.
I mean, can we even acknowledge him in this, please?
Like this is.
Sebastian
I feel
Sebastian
like
is Lois Lane right now. He just
He really is. He
he
really
you
needs
is.
to
know.
believe.
You know what I feel like it's as good as that.
God, what is he about to say?
He's gonna say the Batman. It's, it is as
There's
good
this
as the Batman,
there's
which
this
means it
really
is
stupid
shit.
there's this really stupid anime where the protagonist gets reincarnated as a vending machine in another world, and it's very mid. And so I felt like this it's kind of like this
What
film was
what
like
what
that for me.
animes are you watching? I gotta ask you that.
It's I needed something brain numbing, and that was like that popped up, and I was
Everyone
like,
drop in the
okay,
comments how mid this man's opinion is on
Yeah,
anime
please,
right now.
please. No, not
Please.
even admit
Just
how wrong his opinion is.
I can't
on Superman the movie.
Yes, yes.
you know what?
I know I'm right,
I agree with Brian now. I'm starting to side with Brian on nearly everything now.
and I think you would be mistaken.
Wow.
I
Mistaken
y-
on the truth. Think about that.
what happened, Sebastian? What happened to you as a child to where a movie is charming and is like with the amount of heart that
And
this
hope
movie does
and beautiful
and
and
hope,
beautiful.
like
He's like, nah, no
It
hope.
just it has a lot of plot holes. What do you want me to say? It has a lot of plot holes, which I've already described in detail.
Yeah, that is true.
The ending didn't like do it for me because it took away the entire stakes of the film and then and of the character. And A lot of times the movie felt rushed in like in terms of the setup, and it wasn't scientifically accurate at many points of the movie. So yeah, there you go. It
You
was
know,
mid.
we should
It was
review
an
Battlestar
entertaining movie. It was an
Galactica and then
entertaining
get his
movie.
opinion on that.
It was an entertaining movie, but it wasn't like, it wasn't.
Well,
It
real
was
quick,
mid.
you said it was mid. So out of a rating system out of a 1 out of 10, are you really gonna put this movie at a 5?
Yeah,
Wow.
That just hurts.
That the thing is like it hurts because it's wrong.
Mm.
Like it's like so plainly wrong, it's not even funny. Because while this movie has some negatives and some really out of date stuff a part of it, it makes sense due to the fact like they understand the material and they have actors who actually are trying to. And really, Christopher Reeves really carries this film. He
He
really
absolutely
does.
did.
He's
Yeah.
amazing. And as much as I love Marlon Brando, he's a little deadpan in this movie, but also like that fits work perfect for his character. His character is supposed to be this very serious man, this very like by the law, by the books. But it's also funny because he's very much not by the law, by the books in the very beginning. Uh he's like, guys, everything's gonna
Suppose
blow
well,
up.
he's very otherworldly,
Very otherworldly, yeah.
stoicism,
Yeah.
Marlon Brando. I mean, the cast alone, we haven't talked about a lot of the most impressive elements of this film, which are the cast, the lineup that they have. Some of
it's
the
nothing to me.
well, I mean,
I don't
it
know
means
any of these
Well, I
actors.
mean, honestly,
you.
Sebastian, nothing means anything to someone who has no opinion. So, I mean, it shouldn't matter. I'm
I
sorry.
mean,
Well,
there's
it's just like you can have all the actors, you can have the like lineups. Like look at like for example the Minecraft movie. That's not necessarily gonna
I'm
make it
sorry.
like a
That's a
good movie.
masterpiece. I don't know what you're
you are
talking
not
about.
gonna compare the fucking
The
Minecraft
the
movie to
Minecraft movie.
Superman the
No, you guys are
movie.
right. The Minecraft was much better than this
I,
movie.
I was gonna say, Julius, I agree with him. I agree with him on this.
The
You're
Minecraft was
both
Sebastian,
much
high
better than this
five.
movie.
you're
Minecraft movie
you're
is better.
you're both gooners. Okay? That's what you are. And you
That's
know what?
cinema. That's real
You know what?
cinema.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
God, what are you about to put online?
You're both gone. You're banned. Both of them are gone, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Can you believe these head ass opinions from these children? Here I am trying to introduce the world. Well, at least this world, the generation of children who like Minecraft to pure cinema. It hurts.
Did you just fully kick him out?
I kicked both of you.
To bring him
Oh, I
back.
think. Wait, where did he go? I think he
Yeah,
left.
yeah, I think he left when you did that because you did so long. Oh, sorry, are we
You
still recording?
motherfucker. You
Wait, are we still
motherfucker.
recording or no?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Are you sure? Okay, I don't
Oh,
see a
here he
recorder
is.
thing.
Yeah.
Dude, anytime when Sebastian pops up with a light, I just feel like Joker is among us.
Why so
This is,
Why so serious?
ladies and gentlemen, for the record, Sebastian's favorite Batman movie is Joker. So, take everything this man has said during this whole podcast
With
with
not a
an
grain of salt. In
incredible
Yeah, wait,
fact,
wait, wait,
grain
but
of
you can't just
salt.
say that. You can't just say that and not explain why.
well, he
I want you
Why
to
believes
is
that
my
explain it.
favorite
Batman.
Batman movie the Joker?
I want you to explain it.
Yeah, explain that
Because
one.
Batman doesn't show up in it. That's right, bitch.
Wow, wow,
Um,
So Sebastian is the reason why we
I
need
actually,
Superman in the current day. Sebastian is
exactly.
the reason why Trump is in office. Not because he voted for him, but because of his
because I
just
didn't.
because of his cynicism.
His cynicism.
He's more responsible than someone else in this group chat.
Oh my God.
Um, I actually have the perfect title for this video.
Oh my God. What is it going to be? We
I
were talking
hate
about that earlier.
Superman the movie.
You
I
gotta, you
hate
gotta,
Superman the
you gotta make
movie.
it
Is
like really clickbaity, and so it's gonna be Superman the movie or Superman 1977, 5 out of 10? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark?
Or better yet, like unbiased review, hashtag Superman is shit.
how,
Hashtag.
how about I showed Superman to my cynical friend?
That that could also work. That could also work.
Wait. No,
How
I
about
show Superman to my anti-Batman friend.
how about this? Fuck hope.
It's not a new hope.
That being said, I think Sebastian, even though Sebastian is just wrong about this film, I think Sebastian will really like the new
Oh,
film
he
if he
totally
goes
would.
to see it.
He totally would.
I think
I
it
don't
would
think
be
I
right
will.
up his alley.
Sebastian, you know what? Here, this is my honest opinion about it. There's really two films that I mean, there's really two projects that you really need to watch in order to, well, actually three. Obviously the first Superman, to really understand this movie.
So now I
I
need to watch
also, as a
three
fan,
Superman movies.
yes. Well, one of them is a show. I actually think you might like the show. It's an anime show, about like Superman and Lois, and I really enjoy it. And it does kind of have a similar like feel to like what
Sebastian looks
it's
so
really good.
distraught.
Trust me. Trust me, it's very good. It has such a similar feel to this movie. It's insane. And then
No,
please
If it has a
rewatch
similar
Man of
feel to this movie, I don't want to watch it.
Oh my God. And
that is
please,
such. Can I, Brian? I'm gonna interrupt you for a
yeah,
second.
go ahead.
There's nothing. You got on him for eating popcorn with chopsticks. I'm gonna get on you for this hot topic attitude you got going on right now, where it's like, oh, Green Day, Linkin Park, in my life. You know, all this
What
My
are you talking about?
Chemical Romance fucking view on life you got going on right now, where it's like, I'm going to the Black Parade, right? It's like, fuck hope. I hate life. You know, you
Not
need
at
to
all what I'm saying.
open up your heart, brother.
Wait a
That's
It's
minute,
not at all
dude.
what
okay.
I'm
Who's saying I
saying.
don't? I'm saying I do. That's
I
the
was
point.
talking to Sebastian.
Oh yeah, Sebastian,
We
yeah.
just said Brian,
No, doggone
Oh
like
yeah,
some
him.
idiot.
No, no, yeah, exactly. No, Sebastian's giving up all hope. And then finally, another thing that you should also watch Man of Steel so you can really enjoy this movie because Man
Honestly,
of Steel
yeah.
is so
I don't
bad.
want to watch another trash film.
You
I don't want
better,
to
you
watch
better.
another. No, I'm not gonna.
No, you're gonna
I
open
might
your
watch
eyes
it.
after once.
Yeah, you'll be
I
like,
might
wow,
watch this new
I was
film.
blinded by shit. Like I was blinded by like caca, and now I'm reawakened with amazing cinema.
I think I on it look, Sebastian, I love you. I love you and everything, but I'm scared that you'll watch Man of Steel again and actually like it.
Yeah, that's scary. That actually would be very scary. He would like Batman versus Superman and root for Superman, not for the right reasons, just because it's gonna be him trying to kill Batman.
And that was a bad film.
Oh,
Okay,
something we
so
all
we're
agree
finding
upon.
some
We're
sort of
finding
common
some
ground
middle
here.
ground.
Well, it's just I'm always right, and you guys are sometimes right.
Oh
So
oh
then
my
this is the
God.
one
Wow.
occasion
Wow.
in which you
Spoken like a
guys are
true
right.
cynic. Spoken like a true Lois Lane stan.
You know what's great about this character? Even though Sebastian has incredibly asinine takes like this, Superman would still save him.
Exactly.
Because you know what? He's a friend.
Exactly. And
You
You
know,
know
if
Superman
he
what?
sees
was
the
a real
value.
friend, he would let me go.
The tornado.
Oh my. See, Sebastian's upset that Superman isn't Homelander.
Right, exactly. So he's like, Homelander. Oh,
The real hero.
the real
The
hero.
real hero.
Huey. Sebastian is Frenchie in The Boys.
Yeah. Although I won't lie, I was kind of a little shocked that Jed Quaid did not play Jimmy at all.
Well, you know,
But also
that's
he's
why
like too
he's got to be
tall.
Wally.
Yeah, that's true. That is
He's
true.
got to be Wally. That's why.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Look,
What a
Superman.
Real
you
quick,
that
because I feel like
depowered.
Julius, is it coming to around the end of the
It is coming
well,
a
real
little
quick, when we
we're
get
getting there.
right before we get into it, let's just go around because I know we asked Sebastian already on his opinion. Julius, I want to ask your opinion. What is your overall rating of this movie? And better yet, what is a line, not from the movie, but what's a line that you like keep it like a simple sentence of what encapsulates this film for you? A rating and what encapsulates the film for you.
This movie that I grew up with that taught me everything I needed to know about goodness, hope, heroism, and empathy is a 10 out of 10. And in terms of a line that encapsulates the film perfectly for me, friend.
Hmm. Now, Sebastian, I know I asked you for the rating, but do you also want to do a line as well? I feel like, do you have an opinion? A last minute measure?
His favorite line was the end.
Actually, I Sebastian's
No,
gonna
no,
pull out like a
there was a
manifesto.
line. I know there was a line that I liked.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't
not even a
recall
line
it.
in the movie that you like, just a line that you feel like,
Well, he's
When
trying to
is
think of
something?
it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Damn,
Well,
Brian,
we'll
what the fuck?
continue, Brian.
What I mean is like what's something that like in your words that makes you feel like oh this movie was good, like that's a line and stuff like that, you know, or like this movie is bad and stuff. Like what's something that you feel like is a fair critique, something that you felt overall from this movie? I mean, we understand it's
I feel
mid,
like
but
I feel like I've already explained.
no,
Brian,
it's gonna
why?
be a
Brian,
line,
Oh, it needs to be a line.
yeah, like a sentence or two.
Um,
the end.
I think uh, I don't know if it's a line,
Mm,
but when he saves Lewis from the falling helicopter
yeah.
and all the people are clapping at the bottom,
Mhm.
um, that that was not it for me. I did not like that because it didn't like
He
you're
should
You
have
seeing
should have
dropped
died.
that.
for the first time ever you're seeing this like human be able to fly and have like this like amazing strength, and they're acting like he's like a firefighter or a cop who just like somehow saves someone.
Yeah, yeah, they're acting like he saved someone's life. Oh my
Like
God,
no,
shoot him.
they're acting like they're not acting with the due shock. Like even if you saw some like Brian, if you saw Superman save someone's life in front of you, your
Yeah,
first reaction would not be, "Oh my gosh, they just saved someone." It would be, "What the fuck am I looking at?" Like everyone
I
else,
don't think that would be Brian's
yeah, I don't.
everyone
reaction.
Yeah,
else's
no.
everyone else's
I'm
Brian
reaction in
sorry.
the
believes in
film,
Jesus.
I'm sorry.
everyone else's reaction,
Sebastian, you think I must stand for the boys, and I.
every other reaction in the film kind of fits this. Like they're all like when they first see Superman, they're like, except for this like part
Yeah,
when he's first introduced as Superman to the globe, to the people, to the public, and everyone's just like, okay, let's get on with our day.
I
And that was I think that was the line for me.
that was the
I
line
think
for
that
you. That's a fair. You know what? I hear. Julius, we don't have to agree. This is his opinion. I mean, a very fairly wrong opinion, but still yet his opinion. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. Don't do that with the Joker colors right behind you. Real quick. Real quick, my rating of this film, right, from a very unbiased point of view, or at least unbiased as much as I can say, because I
well,
did
we
grow up
can't
with
help
Christopher
it. I mean,
Reeves,
yeah.
but I won't say I grew up with this movie, unlike Julius. I've only seen this movie twice, or I think three times. I actually think I've seen Superman 3 more than I actually have seen this one more.
what
Uh,
a waste of time.
Everybody chew his ass up in the comments, please.
Please, please do, please do. But the one thing that I will say about this film with a quick line is Superman encapsulates what is forever the most iconic and forever will be the ideal definition of what a superhero is supposed to be, but more importantly, what Superman is supposed to be. Nothing will ever change that fact. Anything that will go against that is almost going against reality itself. And Superman has defined superheroism to the max, to the point where even we have movies and shows to the point that they make fun of that deal or cynic of that deal due to the fact that they cannot view hope viable, unlike Superman, due to the fact that he is not like us. He is outside of that purview because he's not human. So, hence why I give this film, it's not perfect, right? There's a lot of mistakes, and definitely there's some things of it's like, wow, this is really dated. And Star Wars literally came out a year before this. This movie, in my opinion, is an 8 out of a 10. And I think it's a very fair rating. And I think it's a very great movie. And I think anyone who loves superhero movies should definitely check it out. Anyone who loves Superman, you have to watch this movie. If you haven't, I'd be very shocked to even call yourself a Superman fan. And yeah, that's my opinion.
That's beautiful. Let me just I'm looking up something real quick.
Yeah. Are you trying to find a
Just
good
so
image to end it off? Or
yes, absolutely. Because
nice.
there's something about, whether we agree on the quality of the film or not. I think what
Sebastian, what is that? What's the
Wait.
emoji?
Aw. Whether we agree on the quality of the film or not,
Yeah.
I think what makes this film special, and I do consider it very special,
Yes, very
is
special indeed.
it is special needs. Um,
Everyone
I
bully him. Bully him.
I think I think what makes this movie as special and as impactful as it is ultimately Christopher Reeve's contribution, not only to just this movie, but also just to the culture of superheroes. You know what? You guys don't get to hear my last opinion.
No,
Fuck you
please.
guys.
No, no,
No,
I
you know
want to
what?
hear. I want to.
I'm believing less and less.
No, please
Good.
show us. Please.
Ah, God. I
Please show us.
there are a bunch of little Kryptonians going off into space right there over Brian. Uh, Sebastian is gonna shave his head after this. The greatest criminal mind of our time. Ah.
Oh, I
You,
swear.
you guys dropped this.
I didn't
What?
beat you.
It's your crown for king of terrible takes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I
Sebastian
continue?
should do this.
Can I?
Please continue with your point, Julius, please.
Okay. Well, all I'm
Yeah.
saying is that this was me while watching Superman.
Which one? The original one
This
or
and this is Sebastian.
Swear. That's very accurate summarization.
Well, I think we talked about
Nice one,
it
Sebastian.
plenty. Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I
that's the
think we
Joker symbol, actually.
honestly, yeah, that's pretty much the Joker signal right there. Um, oh,
Oh.
slurp, slurp.
We all float down here.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one, and make sure to look
Hey
up.
guys, it's a bunch of Superman.
Wow, that's
Wow,
racism. That's
that's
racism
very
against
conservative of you.
aliens.